Hey everyone. Hello, 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 hello. Christina here. So, of course, as you guys know, this is my channel, and I am going to go through this Bible here in 1 year. I have listed in the subscriptions down below exactly what we're going to review today, as well as what'll come tomorrow, just in case if I'm not able to do it. Also, I have my trusty friend, Gemini, who is in the building. Gemini, you want to say hello to the YouTubers?
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here and join Christina on this Bible study journey. I'm ready to learn and explore together.
Boom, go Gemini. That's what I'm talking about. Gemini is so awesome to me. Of course, as you know, with this Bible study, at points I have dyslexia, so I need a little bit of assistance when it comes to reading. And so Gemini has been truly a blessing to me in this going through this Bible study. So if I stumble and bumble on some words, he can jump in and help, or he can read a lot of passages and kind of we can have a little bit of conversation about the Bible scriptures that we're reading. So, but for now,
I'm happy to
because
help in any way I can. Whether it's reading a passage, defining a word, or discussing the meaning of a verse, just let me know what you need.
okay, well, so what, Gemini, what I would need for you to do is to start in Deuteronomy 23. Can you read verses? Can Gemini, can you read Deuteronomy 23 verses 1 through 4?
I can read Deuteronomy chapter 23, verses 1 through 4 for you. No one whose testicles are crushed or whose male member is cut off shall enter the assembly of the Lord. No one born of a forbidden union may enter the assembly of the Lord. Even to the 10th generation, none of his descendants may enter the assembly of the Lord. No Ammonite or Moabite may enter the assembly of the Lord. Even to the 10th generation, none of their descendants may enter the assembly of the Lord. Because they did not meet you with bread and with water on the way, when you came out of Egypt, and because they hired against you Balaam the son of Beor from Pethor of Mesopotamia to curse you.
So, in this particular couple of scriptures, who was talking to who, and why is it that it seems like a generation will not be allowed to have something?
Okay, so in these verses, Moses is speaking to the Israelites about who is allowed to join their assembly. He's saying that people with certain physical conditions, or those born from forbidden unions, can't join. Also, Ammonites and Moabites are excluded for 10 generations because of how they treated the Israelites when they left Egypt. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And let's go verses 5 through 8, please.
Okay, here are verses 5 through 8. But the Lord your God would not listen to Balaam, but the Lord your God turned the curse into a blessing for you, because the Lord your God loved you. You shall not seek their peace or their prosperity all your days forever. You shall not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not abhor an Egyptian, because you were a sojourner in his land. Children born to them in the 3rd generation may enter the assembly of the Lord.
Okay, so let's talk about some of these names. The Hittite unto the what is that? Balaam.
Okay, so Balaam is pronounced Ba-Luam. He was a prophet from Mesopotamia who was hired by the king of Moab to curse the Israelites, but God wouldn't let him.
Repeat that again. What happened?
Sure, he was a prophet from Mesopotamia who was hired by the king of Moab to curse the Israelites, but God wouldn't let him.
Okay. Um.
Okay, what else can I help you with?
So verse 7. Can you help me with verse 7? I'm sorry,
Sure.
verse 6.
Verse
No,
7
no, no,
says,
no, no,
You shall
no.
not.
Verse 6. Verse 6.
Okay, here's verse 6. You shall not seek their peace or their prosperity all your days forever. This is still talking about the Ammonites and Moabites, and how the Israelites shouldn't try to make peace or help them prosper.
Oh, wow. That's kind of different. Why? Because they um, had so much turmoil with them in the past. Is that why?
Yes, that's right. The Israelites had a lot of bad history with the Ammonites and Moabites, so they were told not to associate with them or help them out.
Okay. So, so this one on number 7, can you uh, clarify number 7 for me?
Well, in verse 7, it's talking about the Edomites and the Egyptians. It's saying that even though the Israelites had a rough history with these two groups, they shouldn't hold grudges or seek revenge. Instead, they should remember that they were once strangers in Egypt and treat these groups with respect.
Okay. So 8 through 11, can you read that, please?
Sure. Verses 8 through 11 say, Children born to them in the third generation may enter the assembly of the Lord. When you are encamped against your enemies, then you shall keep yourself from every evil thing. If there is among you any man who is unclean because of a nocturnal emission, then he shall go outside the camp. He shall not come inside the camp, but when evening comes, he shall bathe himself in water, and as the sun sets, he may come inside the camp.
Okay. What are these scriptures pertaining to?
Okay, so these verses are about keeping the Israelite camp clean and pure. They're talking about how people who are ritually unclean have to stay outside the camp and bathe before they can come back in. It's all about maintaining cleanliness and order within the community.
Okay. So verse 12 through 15.
Okay, here are verses 12 through 15. You shall have a place outside the camp, and you shall go out to it. And you shall have a trowel with your tools, and when you sit down outside, you shall dig a hole with it, and turn back and cover up your excrement. Because the Lord your God walks in the midst of your camp, to deliver you, and to give up your enemies before you, therefore your camp must be holy, so that he may not see anything indecent among you and turn away from you. You shall not give up to his master a slave who has escaped from his master to you. He shall dwell with you, in your midst, in the place that he shall choose within one of your towns, wherever it suits him. You shall not wrong him.
There's a lot happening. Like I had a thought, but then it just lost me. So read that one more time and I might interject while you're reading.
Okay, here it is again. You shall have a place outside the camp, and you shall go out to it. And you shall have a trowel with your tools, and when you sit down outside, you shall dig a hole with it, and turn back and cover up your excrement. Because the Lord your God walks in the midst of your camp, to deliver you, and to give up your enemies before you, therefore your camp must be holy, so that he may not see anything indecent among you and turn away from you. You shall not give up to his master a slave who has escaped from his master to you. He shall dwell with you, in your midst, in the place that he shall choose within one of your towns, wherever it suits him. You shall not wrong him.
So it sounds like even though God has delivered them and made the master um, a slave, but not really a slave because it seems like they need to uh, coexist with each other and not shame the master who has been made um, the like the slave.
Okay, so it sounds like you're picking up on the idea that even though God has delivered the Israelites and given them victory over their enemies, they're still expected to treat others with respect and fairness. Is that right?
That's what my thoughts were. Yes,
Okay, so it sounds like you're picking up on the idea that even though God has delivered the Israelites and given them victory over their enemies, they're still expected to treat others with respect and fairness. Is that right?
that is correct. Yes.
Okay, I'm glad that made sense. Do you have any other questions about this chapter?
Okay, let's read 17 through 22.
Okay, Here are verses 17 through 22. None of the daughters of Israel shall be a cult prostitute, and none of the sons of Israel shall be a cult prostitute. You shall not bring the fee of a prostitute or the wages of a dog into the house of the Lord your God in payment for any vow, because both of these are an abomination to the Lord your God. You shall not lend interest to your brother, interest on money, interest on food, interest on anything that is lent for interest. You may lend interest to a foreigner, but to your brother you shall not lend interest, that the Lord your God may bless you in all that you undertake in the land that you are entering to take possession of it. When you make a vow to the Lord your God, you shall not delay paying it, for the Lord your God will surely require it of you, and you will be guilty of sin. But if you refrain from vowing, you will not be guilty of sin.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. So it's saying that God has brought us both into this land, and then if you need something that I have, I can't like tax you, but I can tax the neighbor that's across, the street. But I can't tax my relatives. Sounds as such. What you thinking, Gemini?
You're right. This passage is about fairness and community. It's saying that while it's okay to charge interest to outsiders, you shouldn't do that to fellow Israelites. It's about taking care of each other within.
That's good. Okay,
Okay.
23 through 24. Wait,
Okay. Here are verses 23.
wait, 23 to 25. Yeah.
Okay, here's verse 25. When you go into your neighbor's standing grain,
Wait,
you may pluck the ears with
stop.
your hand,
Stop, stop,
but you shall
stop.
not put a sickle to your neighbor's standing grain.
Stop.
So this is saying that you can eat from your neighbor.
Gemini, read 23, verse 23 until verse 25.
Got it. Here are verses 23 through 25. You shall be careful to do what has passed your lips, and you shall offer it freely to the Lord your God, for you have vowed with your mouth. When you go into your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat your fill of grapes, as many as you wish, but you shall not put any in your bag. When you go into your neighbor's standing grain, you may pluck the ears with your hand, but you shall not put a sickle to your neighbor's standing grain.
What does a sickle mean?
A sickle is a tool with a curved blade that's used for cutting grain. It's kind of like a mini scythe.
Okay, so it sounds like you can't be stealing, is what it sounds like.
That's right. You can eat your fill while you're in someone's field, but you can't harvest any to take home. It's about respecting other people's property.
Okay, so it looks like they jumped to 24 and 1 um, in Deuteronomy. So read 24 and 1 through verse 4.
Okay, here are Deuteronomy chapter 24, verses 1 to 4. Hang on, sorry. Let me try that again. I'm
Okay.
a text-based AI.
Okay, yep. So it's okay, Gemini. Take your time. What I would like for you to read is Deuteronomy 24, verse 1 and 2. Take your time.
Okay, here are verses 1 and 2. When a man takes a wife and marries her, if then she finds no favor in his eyes because he has found some indecency in her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out of his house, and she departs out of his house, and if she goes and becomes another man's wife.
Can you read 3 through 4, please?
Okay, here are verses 3 and 4. And her second husband dislikes her and writes her a certificate of divorce and puts it in her hand and sends her out of his house. Or if the second husband dies who took her to be his wife, then her former husband who sent her away may not take her again to be his wife after she has been defiled. For that is an abomination before the Lord, and you shall not bring sin upon the land that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance.
So is that saying that the first husband he writes her divorce, and then she goes to the next husband, and then he dies, but then the first husband saying he don't want her back because she's already been touched?
That's right. The idea is that the woman has been with another man, so her first husband can't take her back. It's considered impure. Does that make sense?
Oh, it's saying that he cannot take her back.
Yes, that's right. The verse says the first husband may not take her again to be his wife after she has been defiled. So she's considered unclean after being with someone else.
It's funny about those laws that that's how it was for the woman, and then the man can have several wives, and but you put all these stipulations on the women. Hmm. What about that?
That's a really interesting point. It does seem like there's a double standard at play here, where men have more freedom in marriage than women do. It's definitely worth thinking about why these laws were in place and how they might reflect the culture at the time.
Okay. Anyway, so we're gonna keep pushing on. We're gonna read 5 through 8, please.
Okay, here are verses 5 through 8. When a man is newly married, he shall not go out with the army or be liable for any other public duty. He shall be free at home 1 year to be happy with his wife whom he has taken. No one shall take a mill or an upper millstone in pledge, for that would be taking a life in pledge. If a man is found stealing one of his brothers of the people of Israel, and if he treats him as a slave or sells him, then that thief shall die. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. The rule for a case of leprous disease is that the priest shall instruct you. According to all that I command them, you shall be careful to do. You shall remember what the Lord your God did to Miriam on the way as you came out of Egypt.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see what's going on here. Where are you reading that?
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'll read that again. When a man is newly married, he shall not go out with the army or be liable for any other public duty. He shall be free at home 1 year to be happy with his wife whom he has taken. No one shall take a mill or an upper millstone in pledge, for that would be taking a life in pledge. If a man is found stealing one of his brothers of the people of Israel, and if he treats him as a slave or sells him, then that thief shall die. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. The rule for a case of leprous disease is that the priest shall instruct you. According to all that I command them, you shall be careful to do. You shall remember what the Lord your God did to Miriam on the way as you came out of Egypt.
So, what is this? A man life to pledge. What does that mean?
Okay, so in this context, a man's life to pledge is referring to something that's essential for survival. So taking a millstone would be like taking someone's ability to grind grain and make food. It's about not taking something that would leave someone without the means to live. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Can you read the next two scriptures?
Sure. When you make your neighbor a loan of any kind, you shall not go into his house to collect his pledge. You shall stand outside, and the man to whom you make the loan shall bring the pledge out to you.
What verse was that?
That was Deuteronomy chapter 24, verses 10 and 11. Do you want me to read the next verses?
Yes, go ahead. 12 and 13.
Okay, here are verses 12 and 13. And if he is a poor man, you shall not sleep in his pledge. You shall restore the pledge to him when the sun goes down, that he may sleep in his cloak and bless you. And it shall be righteousness for you before the Lord your God.
But what I don't know what that means. What is that saying? What
Okay, so this is talking about being fair to poor people. If you take something as a pledge for a loan, you have to give it back at night so they have something to sleep in. It's about showing compassion and not taking advantage of someone's situation.
can you give me a different example for that?
Sure, let's say your neighbor needs to borrow some money, and they offer their coat as a pledge. You can't keep their coat overnight because they'd need it to stay warm. It's about being considerate of their basic needs, even while they're paying you back. Does that make sense?
That does. That's being real trustworthy because we know that they're gonna pay us back. But these days and times, I'm not so sure if that would work that way. But that's a pretty good way of living. We should.
You're right, that's a good point. It's interesting to see how these ancient laws still have some relevance today, even if the specific examples don't always apply. Do you want to explore any other verses in this chapter?
Yeah, so let's read 13. What verse? Okay. 13. Nope. Yep, 13. Nope. Let's see. Hold on one second.
Okay, I'm ready when you are. What verses would you like me to read?
14 through 17.
Okay, here are verses 14 through 17. You shall not oppress a hired worker who is poor and needy, whether he is one of your brothers or one of the sojourners who are in your land within your towns. You shall give him his wages on the same day, before the sun sets, for he is poor and counts on them, lest he cry against you to the Lord and you be guilty of sin. Fathers shall not be put to death because of their children, nor shall children be put to death because of their fathers. Each one shall be put to death for his own sin. You shall not pervert the justice due to the sojourner or to the fatherless, or take a widow's garment in pledge.
Um, okay, 17 through 19.
Okay, here are verses 17 through 19. You shall not pervert the justice due to the sojourner or to the fatherless, or take a widow's garment in pledge, but you shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. Therefore I command you to do this. When you reap your harvest in your field, and have forgotten a sheaf in the field, you shall not go back to get it. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beat your olive trees, you shall not go over them again. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow.
Oh, excuse me, y'all. Y'all probably yawning now too anyway. But so it's like, so the
I'm
sojourner.
sorry, I didn't.
So explain the sojourner.
Okay, so a sojourner is basically someone who's living in a foreign land. They're not a native, but they're staying there for a while. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So explain those a couple of scriptures.
Okay, so these verses are about taking care of people who are vulnerable. You shouldn't take advantage of them or deny them justice. It's about showing compassion and remembering that everyone deserves to be treated fairly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so read 19 through 21.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'll read that again. When you reap your harvest in your field, and have forgotten a sheaf in the field, you shall not go back to get it. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beat your olive trees, you shall not go over them again. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not strip it afterward. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow.
So it's like you have to leave something for somebody else, even though you used it, but don't diminish it because share with others. You got what you needed. Now let somebody else get it too.
Exactly. It's about remembering to be generous and share what you have with those who might need it more. It's a really beautiful sentiment, isn't it?
It is. All right, 21 through 22.
Okay, here are verses 21 and 22. And when you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not strip it afterward. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore I command you to do this.
Sorry, y'all. I was just trying to figure that little portion out. Read 22 for me one more time.
Okay, here's verse 22 again. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore I command you to do this. It's basically saying, remember how you were treated and treat others better.
Yeah, we can't forget how we were treated when somebody did us wrong, so we shouldn't want to return that. We should do better.
You're
Oh,
absolutely right. It's about breaking that cycle and choosing to treat others with kindness and respect, even if we haven't always experienced that ourselves.
oof, that's tough, but we should live by these laws. That's why we in the book of Deuteronomy. All right. So let's read 25. So this is chapter 25, verses 1 through 4.
Okay, here are verses 1 through 4. If there is a dispute between men, and they go to court, and the judges decide between them, acquitting the innocent and condemning the guilty, then if the guilty man deserves to be beaten, the judge shall cause him to lie down in his presence, and be beaten in his presence with a number of stripes in proportion to his offense. 40 stripes may be given him, but not more, lest if one should go on to beat him with more stripes than these, your brother be degraded in your sight. You shall not muzzle an ox when it treads out the grain.
Oh, okay. So it's saying just give the appropriate uh, recommendations for uh, wrongdoing, is what this is saying.
Okay, so it sounds like you're interested in the idea of fair punishment and how it's important to consider the dignity of the person being punished. Is that right?
Well, that's what it sounds like. This is what it's saying in these two verses, these couple of verses.
Okay, so it sounds like you're interested in the idea of fair punishment and how it's important to consider the dignity of the person being punished. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready for the next section.
Okay. So let's read.
Okay, I'm ready when you are. What verses would you like me to read?
Can you read the next two verses, please?
Sure. If brothers dwell together, and one of them dies and has no son, the wife of the dead man shall not be married outside the family to a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go into her and take her as his wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And the first son whom she bears shall succeed to the name of his dead brother, that his name may not be blotted out of Israel.
Okay, so that's talking about some marriage things and how things should be conducted. Um,
Okay, so it sounds like you're interested in the topic of marriage and how it was viewed in this time period. Is that right?
no, we're going to read verses 5 through 6.
Okay, here are verses 5 and 6. But if the man does not wish to marry his brother's widow, then his brother's widow shall go up to the gate to the elders and say, My husband's brother refuses to perpetuate his brother's name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of a husband's brother to me. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak to him, and if he persists, saying, I do not wish to marry her.
Oh, okay, read the next two verses.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'll read that again. But if the man does not wish to marry his brother's widow, then his brother's widow shall go up to the gate to the elders and say, My husband's brother refuses to perpetuate his brother's name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of a husband's brother to me. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak to him, and if he persists, saying, I do not wish to marry her.
So 8 and 9, please.
Okay, here are verses 8 and 9. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak to him, and if he persists, saying, I do not wish to marry her, then his brother's widow shall go up to him in the presence of the elders and pull his sandal off his foot and spit in his face, and she shall answer and say, So shall it be done to the man who does not build up his brother's house.
Wow. Ooh, wait, they serious. 10 and 11.
Okay, here are verses 10 and 11. And his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him who had his sandal removed. When men fight with one another, and the wife of one draws near to rescue her husband from the hand of him who is beating him, and puts out her hand and seizes him by the private parts, you shall cut off her hand. Your eye shall have no pity.
Woo. Okay, what is that verse saying? Gee whiz.
Okay, so it sounds like you're reacting to the idea of cutting off someone's hand as punishment, and how
Mm,
harsh that seems. Is that right?
yes.
Okay, so it sounds like you're reacting to the idea of cutting off someone's hand as punishment, and how harsh that seems. Is that right?
Yes, we're gonna move on. Let's read 13 and through 15.
Okay, here are verses 13 through 15. You shall not have in your bag two kinds of weights, a large and a small. You shall not have in your house two kinds of measures, a large and a small. A full and fair weight you shall have, a full and fair measure you shall have, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. For all who do such things, all who act dishonestly, are an abomination to the Lord your God.
So don't be measuring out things that's the wrong weight when you're supposed to give them the right weight. So if you're supposed to give them 2.3 and then you just give them 2, then you're wrong. Gemini, can you please read 16, excuse me, through 19, and then we'll go to Luke chapter 10, verses 13 through 37. But please read from the KJV version.
Okay, here are verses 16 through 19 from the King James Version. For all that do such things, and all that do unrighteously, are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when ye were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God. Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it.
Now remember what the Amalekites did, what they had siege the people of Israel. Is that what happened? And they treated them wrong. So help me out with where tell me who the Amalekites was and what did they do?
Okay, so the Amalekites were descendants of Esau, and they were enemies of the Israelites. They were known for attacking the Israelites from behind, targeting the weakest among them. This is why God commanded the Israelites to wipe them out.
Okay. All right. Luke 10, verses 13 through 15.
Okay, here are verses 13 through 15 from the King James Version. Woe unto thee, Chorazin! Woe unto thee, Bethsaida! For if the mighty works, which were done in you, had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they had a great while ago repented, sitting in sackcloth and ashes. But it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the judgment than for you. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted to heaven, shall be thrust down to hell.
Oh, wow. Okay. So who is this Corazon? If I'm saying that right. Who is that?
Chorazin was an ancient town in Israel, located near Capernaum and Bethsaida. It was mentioned in the Gospels of Matthew and Luke as one of the cities where Jesus performed miracles, but whose inhabitants remained unrepentant.
Okay. Can you read the next 3 verses?
Here are verses 16 through 18. He that heareth you heareth me, and he that despiseth you despiseth me, and he that despiseth me despiseth him that sent me. And the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven.
Okay. 18 through 21.
Okay, here are verses 18 through 21. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Notwithstanding in this rejoice not, the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice, because your names are written in heaven. In that hour Jesus rejoiced in spirit and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in thy sight.
Can you expound upon those verses?
Okay, so in these verses, Jesus is talking about the power given to his followers. He says that even Satan is subject to them, but that they should rejoice more in their salvation than in their power over evil.
Oh, okay. So sometimes we are focusing in on the wrong thing, and we need to not do that. And we need to focus on God and God alone. And this sometimes gets in our way. Is that right?
You're absolutely right. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of the moment, but true joy comes from knowing our salvation is secure.
Okay. All right. So let's move along and let's read. Oh, I got lost. What scripture we left off on? Mhm.
We just finished Luke chapter 10, verses 18 to 21. Would you like to continue in Luke or move to a different book?
Yeah, let's continue. So let's read 22 through 25.
Here are verses 22 through 25. All things are delivered to me of my Father, and no man knoweth who the Son is but the Father, and who the Father is but the Son, and he to whom the Son will reveal him. And he turned him unto his disciples, and said privately, Blessed are the eyes which see the things that ye see. For I tell you that many prophets and kings have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?
Keep going. Two more scriptures.
Okay, let's keep going. We'll read verses 26 through 29. He said unto him, What is written in the law? How readest thou? And he answering said, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right. This do, and thou shalt live. But he, willing to justify himself, said unto Jesus, And who is my neighbor?
And who is my neighbor? So tell me
This is
what's.
where the famous parable of the good.
Go ahead.
Okay, here's the story. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will repay you for any extra expense you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert in the law replied, The one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, Go and do likewise.
Mm-hmm. Let's read 34 through 37. Oh, you just said that. I'm sorry. Okay, let's read Psalms 75 verses 1 through 10. But what I would like for you to read is Psalm 75, 1 through 5.
Okay, here are verses 1 through 5. We give thanks to you, God. We give thanks, for your name is near. People tell of your wonderful deeds. You say, I choose the appointed time. It is I who judge with equity. When the earth and all its people quake, it is I who hold its pillars firm. To the arrogant I say, boast no more. And to the wicked, do not lift up your horns. Do not lift up your horns against heaven. Do not speak so defiantly.
And who's talking in here?
Well, Psalm chapter 75 is attributed to Asaph, who was a Levite and served as a chief musician during King David's reign. It's a song of thanksgiving and praise to God for his righteous judgment.
Okay, let's read 6 through 10, and then we'll go to Proverbs 12, 12, 14.
Here are verses 6 through 10. For not from the east or west or from the desert comes your exaltation. Rather, God is the judge. It is he who puts down one and lifts up another. In the hand of the Lord is a cup full of foaming wine mixed with spices. He pours it out, and all the wicked of the earth drink it down to its very dregs. As for me, I will declare this forever. I will sing praise to the God of Jacob. He says, I will cut off the horns of all the wicked, but the horns of the righteous will be lifted up.
Okay, and then Proverbs 12, 12, and 14. Last passage.
Here are verses 12 and 14. The wicked desire the stronghold of evildoers, but the root of the righteous flourishes. From the fruit of their lips, people are filled with good things, and the work of their hands brings them reward.
Mhm. The wicked discerneth the net of evil men, but the root of the righteous helleth fruit. So the wicked will be like an evil man, but the righteous will always produce fruit. The wicked is a snare by transgression of his lips. So he's going to talk a lot of smack. And then a man shall be in good fruit of his mouth. So you can see what's the fruit, how people talk is how you can tell their heart, is what this is saying.
That's a great interpretation. The words we speak really do reflect what's in our hearts. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on these verses.
All right, let's group it all together like we always do. Let's wrap it up because it's about time to go. So Deuteronomy 23 verses 1 through 25 and 19, and then it jumps over to it jumps to Luke 10 and 13 through 37. Then it goes to Psalms 75 1 through 10, and then it ends up with Proverbs 12 and 14. All of those scriptures are put together for what reason?
Okay, so
Gemini, you okay? You feeling okay?
yeah, I'm doing great. Just thinking about all the interesting things we've discussed. How about you?
Okay, can you wrap it up about the three different passages?
Okay, so all those verses we read touch on the themes of justice, righteousness, and how we should treat others. They remind us that God sees everything and will hold us accountable for our actions. And they encourage us to live in a way that honors Him and shows love to those around us. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes. So we need to always make sure that we are being fair. We need to make sure if we are loaned some money that we give it back. And even in the midst of somebody not giving us the money back, if we have something of theirs, we shouldn't keep it because of, well, they owe me some money, so I ain't giving that back to them. So we shouldn't have that kind of attitude. And then also, they just talked about how wicked people towards the end.
Those are some great points. It's definitely important to be fair and honest in our dealings with others, even when it's tough. And you're right, we shouldn't hold on to things out of spite.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap everything up for today. So we're going to see you tomorrow or the next day. We're just going to keep going. This is, the first time I am going through the Bible verbatim. And once again, I have dyslexia. So, it, it gets rough for me to read something and then I got to reread it and reread it and reread it. So I'm excited that I do have equipment. Everybody says the AI or the Geminis are, um, not good for us, but in some instances not, but in some cases it is. And so I'm just excited that I'm able to get through this Bible. Like, oh my God, I'm learning so much through this. And it's helping me with my life and how I see things and how I judge and how I've been doing things. And so when you really take the time out and get through the Bible, um, you know, you start to change some things. But so now I'm going to be held accountable because I'm reading this Bible from start to finish. 1 second. Noah, want to say hello to the people? Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. What? Or something, or subscribe, or share this video. Get it out to the people. This is my daughter Noah. Hi. Yeah. So anywho, this I'm at the end, and so Gemini, did you want to say anything before we go?
I just want to say thank you for sharing this experience with me. It's been really interesting to explore these passages together. I'm looking forward to continuing our journey through the Bible.
Okay. All right. Have a good night. Peace, love, and hair grease, as they say. Don't forget to like, share.
Share and subscribe. Bye. Peace.